This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about dogs and the pool. I'll cover dogs swimming in the pool, dogs around the pool, just about everything dog related I'll cover in this podcast here. And for those cat lovers, sorry, cats really aren't around the pool much and they're not as much of a problem, which is a good thing as dogs are. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. I'll start by talking about entering a property with a dog. One of the key things is to make sure that you are aware of where the dog's at and you're aware to close the gate behind you. It's one of those things where some dogs will just attack the gate and try to get out. I've had dogs like this where they know that you're going to open the gate and they want to just escape and run and go crazy outside. And that's a problem because you're chasing dogs at that point or a dog at that point. So what I do is I carry these chicken chew treats that I get on Amazon. I buy a bag, I think it's like a 2-pound bag of them. What I'll do if I have a dog that really likes to run, and there are certain dogs, again, that will bolt when you try to open the gate and get your stuff in there. I'll take this chicken chew and I'll give it to the dog. And it'll just take this treat and go running somewhere off into the yard. Depending on the size of the dog, it may take it a couple minutes to chew through it, or it may take a few minutes. It gives you plenty of time to get in and out with no problem. And when I'm leaving, I have another one of these treats that I give to the dog. I know it's going to follow you around the pool pretty much the whole time you're there or sit near the pool watching you, waiting for the second treat. That's okay. That keeps the dog out of trouble in some cases too, and keeps it from jumping in the pool sometimes as well. And I'll cover dogs in the pool in a minute. But having these chicken chew treats is great. I had a customer one time was like, hey, I don't really want you giving those to my dog, so here are some treats that I want you to give to my dog. And she gave me like a box of treats. I was like, all right. But she knew why I gave the dog a treat, which is good. And she had her own treat she wanted me to give the dog. But these chicken rawhides are fine for most dogs. They don't really cause any harm, and it really cleans their teeth actually. So they do have a benefit also besides you keeping the dog from bolting on you. Now, if a dog does get out, you're going to spend some time chasing the dog around the neighborhood. I found the smaller the dog, the harder it is to corner. It's kind of weird. They just have so much energy. They go on forever. And if you do let the dog out and you can't catch it, tell the customer. I know it's embarrassing and it's kind of one of those awkward conversations, but I've had that conversation with a customer. They were dog sitting. I didn't know they were dog sitting, and the other dogs never bolt, so I never have a problem. And I did leave the gate kind of ajar because the other dogs, again, never have a problem. And this dog they were sitting just ran right through the open gate, and there's no way I can catch it. It just took off running. And so I text the customer saying, hey, I think you were dog sitting and the dog got out. Sorry about that. He's like, all right, no problem. We'll go look for it. And that's the extent of it. So that was good. But definitely try not to let the dog out because you're going to be wasting a lot of time chasing it and you may not be able to find it. And the customer may not be too happy with you at that point. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that watch your step. I know this sounds logical and kind of just, yeah, of course there's dogs and dog waste all over the place and excrement. But really, watch your step because you waste time hosing off your boot or shoe hopefully you notice that before you get in your truck, because then that's another whole problem. But you're going to waste time hosing it off, and it's pretty simple to do. But it's irritating as well. So watch your step. And a lot of times I know landscapers or gardeners will specifically say to the customer that the day of our service, we want all the dog poop picked up. We don't want to be going back there and having to mow around it or work around it. I don't know if you can go that far with pool service. You're just walking to the pool area, but the customer should know, and maybe you should just say something politely like, oh, I noticed that on my service day there's a lot of dog waste all over the place, and sometimes I step in it. I don't want to get all over your deck. So if you could make sure that on Wednesday it's all picked up, and that's fine. It's polite, logical. Customers are going to be understanding. They don't want you trailing the dog poop all over their patio area. And if something falls in the pool, which sometimes happens, sometimes dogs get older. I'm not sure what it is with these older dogs that just, go wherever. Most dogs will go on the grass or a certain area, but the older they get, they just kind of, maybe they have no control over it. And some will actually, you'll find some on the deck of the pool, and some of it may be in the pool. So I just scoop it out the best I can with my leaf rake. Then I superchlorinate the pool, and I just run the filter for 24 hours, and I let the customer know. Probably don't want to go in the pool for 24 hours. Some of Fido's waste got in there, and I got it out, and so I'm sanitizing the pool and making sure it's safe to swim in. Easy enough at that point. It's not super dangerous, and it's something that happens on occasion. When it seems like the dogs get older, don't want to spend too much time on aggressive dogs, because you shouldn't be doing pools with dogs that are aggressive. You're just kind of setting yourself up to get bit one day by them. But if you do have dogs that are a little bit sketchy, and I've had pools where they're not aggressive, but they're kind of weird, they kind of follow you and hunt you in a way, but I don't feel like the dog would ever attack me. I carry the Dog Dazer 2, and there's newer versions of this, and there's probably better ones, but it's an ultrasonic device. I just push a button, and most of the dogs don't like the sound, and they back away, and it's pretty good to use, and it's pretty nice to have it. The Dog Dazer 2 has been my go-to. Actually, I have it right here. I'll push it, and you can kind of hear what it sounds like. You can almost hear the sound, and I think you can probably hear it in the podcast. Now, it's not audible, actually, to my ears, and my son said he can hear it when I use it, but here it is right up to the microphone, and this is kind of what the dogs probably hear, but at a more piercing level. And I think you can hear that because I had it right up to the microphone, and the ultrasonic sound was coming right through. And that the dogs just don't like that. Now, if the dog is hard of hearing, of course, it's not going to work on it. I've had some comments in my YouTube video that pit bulls react violently to it. Maybe not a good idea with that breed. Wouldn't want to be doing a pool with a pit bull back there anyway. No offense to the breed, but they have been known to attack a lot of people. And I've kind of almost been attacked by a pit bull myself. The strangest thing is that the dogs that have bit me have been Labradors. They're pretty protective or territorial. You may not know this, but the Labradors are pretty territorial. And then, of course, the Irish Shepherds, or the Australian Shepherds, I should say, not Irish, but Australian Shepherds are very territorial as well. Mainly they're biting you to hurt you, I guess, not really hurt you. But yeah, the bite does hurt for sure. And it's one of those things where aggressive dogs can be dangerous. So I have this as a backup. Other guys carry mace. Some pool pros carry tasers. The noise when you click it scares the dog away. You probably aren't going to use it on the dog, but just that clicking noise, that click, 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 whatever, how it makes that noise is pretty scary to the animal. So now let's talk about dogs in the pool. This is one thing that I don't like, and I understand customers don't care if I like it or not. It's one of the things that causes a lot of problems in the pool. I think the main issue you're going to have with dogs in the pool is maintaining any kind of good water quality or clarity. The water is going to be cloudy. That's pretty much a given. There's going to be a lot of dirt on the bottom from the dogs. That's another given because they don't take a shower before they get in the pool. And their hair is a problem. Depending on the breed, it could be a big problem or just a nuisance. And, golden retrievers, huskies, big problem with the hair in the pool. You may say huskies. I've never seen a husky in the pool. I had two huskies that always got in this pool. They chewed the cleaner hose. They even took the cleaner out of the pool. It was really amazing. I had a husky myself for 12 years, so I know they're pretty smart. So if you've had dogs chew pool hoses, that's probably pretty common. They'll chew a pool hose and there'll be tooth marks in there. But if you have a pool with huskies that use the pool, these dogs actually took the cleaner out. I remember exactly what cleaner it was. It was a G2. It was a Zodiac G2 cleaner. They don't make them anymore here in America. We can find them in Australia, but that's a whole different story. They took this cleaner out, and it was on the deck, and they had chewed this thing to pieces. It was like they must have thought it was an animal or something, or attacking them in the pool. So they just chewed it to pieces. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty phenomenal, actually, the way they did this. But the dog hair is a problem. And one way to counter this, and the easiest way to counter the dog hair in the pool, believe it or not, is with one of those solar power skimmers. I think the Beta is one of the top ones right now, and they're still fairly affordable. The Beta solar surface cleaner, you can get a different one if you want. Put that in the pool and just let it run during the daytime, and it will really take care of a lot of the dog hair before it gets into the skimmer and before it falls to the bottom, causing more problems. And of course, if you have a suction side cleaner, you would want a canister. I wouldn't recommend the canisters that have the plastic insert. I would recommend the canisters like the Hayward 560, I believe, is one of them that I would not recommend. I would recommend the Hayward 530 or the Pentair leaf trap with the mesh bag. That way the dog hair goes into the mesh bag and it'll go pretty much right through that canister with the plastic insert. So you don't want that with the dogs in the pool. And you definitely want a suction side cleaner in there to pick up all the dirt and all the debris from the dogs. It's one of the things where it's just going to be a messy pool and there's just no way around it, depending on how many dogs get in the pool, that is. Another problem with dogs in the pool, I mentioned the water quality. It's going to be cloudy. Their body chemistry really makes the water kind of funky. They have a lot of oils on them. Sometimes if you use an enzyme product, it does counter it. You'll find that if you have dogs in the pool, you're going to have a lot of black buildup on the tile line. And I tell the customers, I'll do what I can with my tile brush, but if you really want to scrub it, you'll have to get in the pool with a sponge and scrub that particular tile scum off. This enzyme is going to help reduce it, and it does help a lot reducing it, but invariably I think you're going to have problems with buildup on the tile, regardless if you use an enzyme, if you have multiple dogs swimming in the pool all summer long. Chemistry is another problem, and the customer is going to purchase from you these chemicals. Now, if they have a saltwater pool, you just turn that up to maximum. Sometimes that works. Other times you're going to need to shock the pool with chlorine as well, and the customer is going to pay for that. You're going to get a 25-pound bucket of Cal Hypo. You're going to leave it at the pool. You're going to tell the customer, I'm billing you for this chlorine because I have to add it to the pool each week to help maintain the pool with the dog swimming in it. Most of the customers won't push back. They understand the dogs are a problem and the pool's messy. If anyone says, well, I don't want to pay for that, I'll just tell them, well, it has to be done because your dogs are making a mess in the pool of the chemistry, and I can't afford to be adding extra chlorine. It's really not my fault that the chlorine level is at 0 every week. And if I don't leave this here and charge you for it, then the pool's going to start turning green. And let's see what they say back to you. Usually they're not going to push back too much at that point. But the point is the customer is paying for the extra chlorine and you're not paying for it out of your pocket. Another thing I like to put in the pool is a Pool RX. Now, if you have golden retriever swimming in the pool, make sure you put this in at the beginning of the season. You don't want to turn their hair green because you're going to keep a high level of chlorine, and that tends to react with the Pool RX, the copper, and it's really not turning their hair green. It's just that it bleaches out the follicles and the green color comes out in the hair. So put that in early in the season. Or you can add borates to the pool. Borates are very safe, and you can add it to 50 parts per million, and it really doesn't have any harm. I had borates in my pool for the last 12 years. My husky, I had a dish of water over there by the side, but she loved drinking out of the pool, and she drank out of the pool every day. It was a saltwater pool. Maybe that's why she was so thirsty. I don't know, but she just loved drinking out of the pool. Wouldn't drink out of a water dish, so there's nothing I can do about it at that point. Never had any problems. She lived a healthy life, and she actually died from a hip problem. that Huskies develop, which is common in the breed. So the water's safe, they can drink it. A high chlorine level doesn't really affect the dogs, either by them drinking it or by them being in the pool. Their skin's pretty tough and durable, so keep that chlorine level pretty high in that pool. I like to keep my dog pools anywhere from 5 to 10 parts per million all the time to make sure that at least the water has a good chance of being okay, but technically it doesn't because it's going to be really murky and cloudy. Filter cleanings do help, so the customer is going to pay for extra filter cleanings, of course. And I did mention when I talked about this in another podcast, when the customers don't help you out, that the filter elements are going to be changed a lot more often. So if you change the cartridge filters in a quad cartridge filter every 3 years, with dogs swimming in the pool, you may have to do it every year. And I found that this really helps, having those fresh cartridges in there. If you have a single cartridge filter and you change them every 9 months, every 3 months, you're going to see a big difference with the quality of the water when you're changing that cartridge more often with the dogs in the pool. And then, as I mentioned in the other podcast, one good thing about dogs in the pool that is good for you is that the customer doesn't really care about how the pool looks. Generally, they're not that picky. They know that if you do clean the pool, the dog's going to get right back in. And I've had this happen to me on many occasions. I finish cleaning the pool, the customer comes out to say hi, they open the door, and their dogs jump right into the pool. Or this happened to me, and it's a little bit irritating. Before you finish cleaning the pool, the dog gets in there and stands in the pool and looks at you and starts smiling. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. You don't want the pool clean. But it's one of those things where it's just part of the job. And of course, there's some dogs that will actually pee on your tote and your cart. I've had that happen many times. It's kind of irritating, but I guess they're just marking their territory. You brought something new into their territory, and they're going to mark it. So that's going to happen as well. All these things are part of pool service. Dealing with the dogs is just part of servicing pools, at least in Southern California, that is. And it's something that is just going to have to be built into your service. You're going to have to tell the customer they're paying for extra chlorine, they're paying for an enhancer, enzymes, phosphate removers, Pool RX, borates, maybe a combination of all of these are going in the pool so that at least the pool is going to have a fighting chance. And you'll never get that pool clear. From my experience, when there's 2 or 3 dogs swimming in it, it's going to always be a murky blue color, and it's just the way it is. And again, the customer shouldn't be on you on this, because just explain to them, hey, the dogs are messing up the pool chemistry, and I'm just trying to maintain it and keep it from turning green or getting yellow algae in there, and I'm doing the best I can. And leave it at that point. If you're looking for other podcasts, you can find those on my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. Just click on the podcast icon on the banner. That'll take you to over 1,600 podcasts. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.